The concept of gladiators has always been a topic which is loved by the general audience, with different great directors using this concept while giving it their own twist. Two famous and influential Hollywood movies using the concept of gladiators are Gladiator and The Hunger Games. These movies depict the historical Roman gladiators in different ways, with some aspects being historically accurate, while other aspects are intertwined with Hollywood and the role of cinema. In all these epic films, the socio-political context of society and gladiators play a significant role. Today we will look at two case studies and see how they portray two aspects of Roman gladiator culture: fighting for entertainment and oppression under a controlling government.
In Ridley Scott's Gladiator, the Roman general Maximus is betrayed by Commodus, the emperor's ambitious son. As Commodus seizes the throne, Maximus is captured and forced to fight as a gladiator. Scott situates the film in a historical framework, but the historical events exist for Scott only to be taken up or set aside in the interest of telling a story of revenge. Nevertheless, we do see the echoes of a historical Rome. For example, the games Commodus organizes are meant to be a distraction tactic to help establish his power. This seems to work, but we also see how the spectators were critical and demanding. Maximus puts on a show, winning the crowd's favor. This popularity grants him a form of power and probably saved his life in the arena. By working on the collective filmic memories of his audience, in recalling visual elements, episodes, and characters, Scott brings Maximus and his ancient world alive in ours. As long as enough elements are recognizable, the film will be deemed authentic. The producers used this painting to convince Scott to direct the Gladiator movie. Scott said the following: "Didn't toga and sandal films die out 40 years ago? What a fascinating world to revisit. I was hooked." Scott's eye for detail reveals that for him, visuals were just as important as acting. Scott studied not Roman history, but other Roman movies. His reinventing lies in a layering of something old and something new. A notable parallel between Ben-Hur, Demetrius and the Gladiators, and Spartacus is the initial refusal of the main characters to fight on their first day. By referencing American westerns, Scott connected the audience with the grandiose settings and tragic situations that were familiar from the Old West, like the good versus evil confrontation, establishing the familiar revenge motive that drives Maximus. Scott also displayed a parallel between Rome and Nazi Germany, modeling certain scenes in Gladiator to resemble The Triumph of the Will by Riefenstahl, the official documentary of the 1934 Nazi Party rally in Nuremberg. Using nearly identical shots, the memory of Hitler's arrival at Nuremberg is invoked. For example, the black-shirted Praetorians resemble the SS. Gladiator appears to react to the political context of the 90s, in which the far-right political movement was popularized again. As Maximus is fighting the tyranny of Commodus, he seems to mimic these militias. His cynicism toward politics leads to a film in which violence is preferred over conversation. Thus, the Roman Empire is used to criticize this political reality, but Gladiator's utilization of spectacle diverts from this attempt, plausibly because of Hollywood's need for the approval of the masses, who want to be entertained. And that worked. Gladiator was positively received by the audience upon its initial release. Scott's mission to revive the historical epic film succeeded and paved the way for others to explore the rediscovered genre.
In the dystopian nation of Panem, each year the Hunger Games are held. For every game, a boy and a girl are selected from the 12 districts by the capital. When Katniss' sister is selected, Katniss volunteers and becomes the female tribute for District 12. Together with Peeta, she enters the games, where they are forced to eliminate each other until there's only one sole survivor. In the capital and a few of the wealthiest districts, the Hunger Games function as a form of mindless entertainment. The Roman concept panem et circenses, or in English bread and games, is a snarling way to call superficial appeases to the people. a distraction to the failings of the government. It is attributed to the Roman Juvenal in his satire 10. The name of the country Panem is also a direct reference to this. When entering the capital, Katniss realizes that likability plays a huge role in winning the games. The participants of the games are extremely dependent on the capital people watching it. When Katniss reunites with Peeta, they take advantage of this. They act as if they are in love and gain support from the capital. They receive gifts from the capital and are able to survive. President Snow uses the Hunger Games to show his power, picking random tributes from each district to pit them against each other in a deadly game. He also makes sure the entire population of Panem watches the game. The games are retribution for former rebellion. Every year for the last 73 years, the districts are reminded of their misbehavior by a video that plays right before the reaping. The capital frames themselves as the victim of this uprising and the districts as guilty. However, in the Hunger Games, we also see the flip side of this power. Katniss' behavior, her romance with Peeta and her kindness to Rue, has moved so many people that Snow's grip on society is starting to crumble. She is the beginning of the revolution. Collins has taken inspiration from the dystopian genre in general, but 1984 and Lord of the Flies contain interesting similarities to the Hunger Games. The Roman Empire and gladiatorship is used to critique modern society. The idealism and the spectacle of violence in the Hunger Games reflect our times. Even though the concept of victory royale video games existed before the Hunger Games, the phenomenon grew exponentially after it. Soon after the release of the first Hunger Games film in 2012, Minecraft players created a multiplayer minigame that worked exactly as the Hunger Games, an arena with weapons scattered around that shrinks after a few minutes until only one player remains. This style of minigame became immensely popular and led to even more popular battle royale games such as Fortnite and Apex Legends. In the end, Roman leitmotifs in films are used to give critique to society, but also become part of the way that society functions and looks at itself. It can go both ways. Historical accuracy is often a secular goal for the filmmakers in question. It can be fun to have historical accuracy, but it's not really needed to get the point across.